So one of the biggest issues in Cavan at the moment is the roads, and I know people laugh at that. But on a local issue, I suppose, in Cavan, especially rural roads, the back end of nowhere, not so much main roads and in towns, etc., the bypass, etc., it's main country roads, back end of nowhere. Take, for example, out by the Dub there, Cavan Dub, just out by Breffni College in Cavan Town, there's a road there that brings you up back onto the bypass towards Ballyhears there. And that road, I'm totally honest, I'd probably bring you up it at some stage if I get around to going up it. But it was up it a few months ago. We were going up it. And it's atrocious. I would just say to anybody in Cavan, go up that road, and anybody that was up that road know what I'm talking about. Generally, you think the First World War happened on that road, to be totally honest, because there's potholes the size of shell craters. Like, generally, it's that bad. And some roads out near Milltown and Cavan, some side roads with a few people living on them. And because it's in rural Ireland, who cares, really? That's the way the government really sees it, them and Ryan. But the main problem is, and this is the thing, the county council here only allocated about 11 million for the roads, and that only basically does the bypass and the N3 going into Dublin, because obviously Cavan's a big county too. It only does the main roads, the bypass, the main roads and towns. They don't have enough money to do the side roads, the back end of nowhere, basically. So there wasn't enough money allocated. And then Eamon Ryan came down, the Minister for Transport, because that's the fellow who gives the money for the roads, etc., and there was a big hullabaloo and only got an extra million out of it. So then they got an extra million allocated. So they need about from 11 million, 11.7 million to 21 million. That's how much they estimate they would need, 21.7 million to do all the roads. Because again, it doesn't cover, they can only do some roads with the money they allocated. So a lot of roads just have to be left until there's money basically to allocated to do it. And it's not really fair on the only Joe. And again, this is going to be the biggest thing, in particularly in rural Cavan for people. I could tell you even places out by Farnham Estate there in Cavan. There's a few houses in the back end of nowhere, a few small dirt roads, I would really say. And there's potholes the size of mountains, to be generally totally honest with you. You wouldn't nearly bring a cow up. I know of some people, they literally leave the cow at the bottom of the road and walk up the road because the road's that bad. And especially because there's huge amount of claims too of people claiming damages to the cows, etc., because the damages the road. And the person to blame, I'm not blaming the councils, the TDs, to be told, and the person who's to blame is Eamon Ryan, because there's money for bicycles, bicycle footpaths, there's money for that, bicycle lanes, there's money for that, there's a huge amount of money, there's an endless amount of money. They could plaster the whole roads in Cavan with bicycle lanes if they wanted to. Eamon Ryan pretty much said his money for bicycle lanes his €5 billion for bicycle lanes. They built bicycle lanes out there by Cavan Institute, and I haven't seen nearly anybody in my life. I've seen maybe one or two that's using it. They spent millions on it, and only about one or two people use it maybe a week if you're lucky. And then obviously in other parts of Cavan, they built bicycle lanes everywhere, and I've never seen a soul on them. To be totally honest. But that just goes to show you, really, to be totally honest, what's the priorities of Eamon Ryan, because he doesn't like cars, he doesn't like anything, he just likes bicycles. He doesn't like himself, to be totally honest. But I don't blame the sitting TDs. I don't blame them, to be totally honest, because it's Eamon Ryan. At the end of the day, it's him who's to blame for this. He wouldn't give the money. He's too worried about his bicycles and all that. And he won't give the money, and that's the simple as that. And he doesn't care about rural Ireland. It's all about the towns, the big towns and the villages. Not so much about the people in the back end of nowhere. The farmers, etc., He doesn't care. He just doesn't care. He cares about Dublin. His head's stuck in Dublin. And he doesn't give a shit about the people in the countryside, the Peter Lands. And that's the Peter Lands. The same with the Green Party. They don't care. They don't get rural Ireland. They don't care about them. They think we're all just backwards people that don't believe in sovereignty, etc., That's what they take, the Green Party. They think we're just a pile of fools down in the country. And that's why they're all up in Dublin, because they don't have a clue about rural Ireland and the culture we have down here, etc. And just to put it as simple as that, it needs to be said. And too bad I didn't meet Eamon Ryan that time. I would have said he can get his bicycle and go, to be totally honest. Because he was bought to Cavan, there was a big fanfare about it, and only got an extra million out of it. So it wasn't anything great, to be totally honest, bringing them down for that. And a big hullabaloo about it. But, it's going to be a big issue, and I do say that to any candidate that's running in the Dáil constituency, Cavan Mullen, the constituency here. Not so much maybe Mullen. I don't know much about Mullen. It's probably not that big of an issue because Heather Humphreys probably has all the money in the day for the roads. But in Cavan it is an issue. And again, if you go that road, particularly beside the Dub there, that brings you to Jeremiah's there, you know what I'm talking about. If you go down that road, go down if you're in the area tonight and come back to me on it, because I'm sure people know about it. It's generally, it's like the First World War happened on the road. And then obviously out by Farnham there's some houses there, go and talk to them about it, because they tell you about it. And then obviously near Milltown to there's some back country roads there where a few people living on them, and the generally you nearly would need a tank to get down the road, to be told, because the roads are generally that bad. They haven't been done. I think one of the roads particularly that I'm talking about up near Milltown hasn't been done in about 10 years. So you could just imagine that. And again, the fact of the matter, there's no money allocated, and they don't want to give money for roads. They want to give money for bicycle lanes. That's pretty much it. They don't really they expect people to fly, basically, in rural Ireland. And again, a lot of these people too, elderly people. The majority of people who live in these houses and stuff are elderly people in the near the pension age or whatever. And some of them have cars, some of them don't. And another issue about buses, but that's going to be the main small rural issue, I suppose, along with migration, along with other stuff, housing particularly. But that's going to be the big issue. And I know a few TDs that are here at the moment. I know a few people who live particularly out in Farnham direction by the hotel at the Farnham estate. If the TDs go out to them, it's going to be a big, generally be an argument for a week. Because they're not happy. I've known 2 or 3 of them, and they're literally about to combust. If one of the TDs go to their door, because they're not happy. Because one of the TDs did promise to be done long ago, and it hasn't been done. So they're not going to be too pleased with that. But that's what I'm just saying too, to people going canvassing out in Farnham direction, that area. People are not going to be very happy with just sitting TDs. Not so much people that are going and not are TDs, but people who are TDs at the moment will feel it. But hopefully something will be done. Again, when the Green Party probably gets kicked out, there'll probably be money. Because there's money, there's hundreds of millions, there's billions that just lying there. I don't know what they're doing with it, but they're taking it for themselves, obviously, the Green Party. But they don't want to give money, they don't like anything. Thank you.